Chapters 2480. The Thunder Shrine's leader looked furious. Saintly Emperor Shi the demon and Lin Feng were advancing towards him. 9 godly celestial lightnings dazzled around him. Even if you both attack me, it's useless. Lightning with snake shapes appeared all around him and lashed out towards Saintly Emperor Shi the demon and Lin Feng. Leader, I'll help you, said a peerless saint, running towards Lin Feng. That way, the Thunder Shrine's leader would just fight against Saintly Emperor Shi the demon. Back in the days, Saintly Emperor Shi the demon and Zi Zhu had both become famous, so people considered Zi Zhu and Saintly Emperor Shi the demon extremely strong. Therefore, that peerless saint decided to fight against Lin Feng and leave Saintly Emperor Shi the demon to the Thunder Shrine's leader. Lin Feng looked at the peerless saint calmly, and smiled evilly. He shook his spear, and lights flashed. Die! Millions of thunderbolts crackled and roared. Lin Feng could sense the atmosphere shake violently around him. Earth strength surrounded him. The earth strength exploded and lightning raged towards Lin Feng. At the same time, a heavy strength oppressed Lin Feng. He had the impression a mountain range had fallen onto him. Earth original strength, thought Lin Feng. His enemy also understood Earth original strength. Lin Feng continued walking forwards and time lights surrounded him. Light balls which looked like magnificent flowers kept emerging from Lin Feng's spear. The flowers destroyed the lightning. The peerless saint was surprised. Lin Feng was supposed to be stuck, but he looked so relaxed. Each of his spear attacks were as fast as lightning. Initially, it seemed like Lin Feng's attacks had reached their maximum speed, but with the time lights, they were even faster. The Thunder Shrine's peerless saint didn't change his mind because of Lin Feng's speed. He continued advancing as fast as he could. He threw out a fist which contained lightning energy. In front of him, 5 lightning bolts appeared. Die! The 5 thunderbolts crashed towards Lin Feng. When they appeared in front of him, the crowd was convinced he was doomed. What a powerful attack! Lin Feng's spear flew away. The crowd didn't understand because the spear didn't move towards the 5 lightning bolts. Lin Feng let the 5 bolts penetrate into his body, thunder cracking loudly. Destructive lights surrounded Lin Feng, and a strong wind started blowing as the space became desolated. The Divine Wrath Alliance's leader is dead. The crowd frowned. However, at that moment, lights twinkled. Millions of tablets appeared and turned into Lin Feng. He reappeared beside the spear he had thrown aside. He immediately grabbed it back. Phew! I almost forgot his body is almost indestructible. The attack didn't destroy him a moment ago. How terrifying! But how did he create such a spell? Divine Wrath is amazing. Lin Feng's attack reached the peerless saint. The man's expression changed drastically. He couldn't believe it. His 5 lightnings attack was incredible, fast and powerful. Even if the Thunder Shrine's leader was struck by that attack he would have died. How come Divine Wrath was still alive? But he didn't have much time to think. He had to dodge. Lin Feng's attack was a beautiful saint's technique. It was incredibly fast, as he used time strength in it. The Thunder Shrine's strong cultivator wanted to resist, but there was a crackling sound, and he didn't have time to condense energies. The spear pierced through his head. Lin Feng didn't use spear strength, he mainly relied on speed. A terrifying strength went through the man, and the cultivator's body exploded. His soul dispersed, and he was dead. The crowd was astonished, staring blankly at them. A peerless saint had just died in battle. Peerless saints were extraordinary beings, they were precious even for shrines. When one of their peerless saints died, it had a significant impact on their organization. Peerless saints were at the core of shrines. The previous time they had met, Saintly Emperor Shi the demon and Zi Zhu had won 2 out of 3 battles. This time, Zi Zhu fought against the Empty Space Shrine's leader, saintly Emperor Shi the demon fought against the Thunder Shrine's leader, and divine wrath killed a peerless saint in one strike. Die! The Thunder Shrine's leader shouted furiously. Lightning descended from the sky towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng continued releasing time strength. At the same time, he continued attacking the bolts with his spear. The atmosphere undulated around him. At that moment, the empty space shrine and the Thunder Shrine's peerless cultivators moved forwards. They initially thought that the shrine's leaders were enough to resist against their enemies, but they were wrong. A peerless cultivator had even been killed. Saintly Emperor Shi the demon is strong and he has the demon halberd. It's a terrifying weapon, the crowd sighed. When the peerless saints of the shrines moved forwards, the peerless saints of the three great alliances also flashed forwards. Strength rolled all around them, a perfect storm of conflicting energies. "Piss off," shouted the Thunder Shrine's leader. He threw his hammer at saintly Emperor Shi the demon. A terrifying godly thunderbolt streaked across the sky. He wanted to destroy saintly Emperor Shi the demon. Saintly Emperor Shi the demon was holding his halberd. Demon lights surrounded the area. At the same time, there were multiple explosions and energies bombarded the godly thunderbolt. Even though the lightning didn't get destroyed, at least it was stopped. The empty space shrine's leader noticed that something was wrong. He stretched out his hand and an empty space map shot towards Zizhu. Lights flared. Zizhu and two other peerless saints were suddenly sealed in a small space. Chapter 2481 The empty space shrine's leader's attack crushed the whole space around them. His attack moved closer and closer to Lin Feng. "Time," said Lin Feng. Time passed faster around his body and slower in the outside world. At the same time, he used the spear to protect his body. It turned into a vortex which absorbed everything around him. All the lights generated by the attacks around him were absorbed. The empty space shrine's leader was taken aback when he saw that Lin Feng could absorb attacks so easily. He took a step forwards and threw out his hands. Lin Feng had the impression that the space around him was becoming isolated and moving away from the world. Lin Feng sensed that the space around him was being drawn towards the empty space shrine's leader. What kind of attack is that? Lin Feng frowned, he didn't understand. The empty space shrine's leader was truly strong. The empty space shrine's leader walked forwards, he looked furious. His eyes were filled with killing intent. To him, Lin Feng was doomed. "Destroy," he said icily. The space around him undulated, it was on the verge of exploding. Lin Feng threw himself at the empty space shrine's leader. The empty space shrine's leader was surprised, his face stiffened. His expression was really funny to see. He was asking himself, how can that guy cross an empty space I created? A mysterious strength surrounded him, he sensed something, and saw the spear driving towards him, thrusting at his head. Empty space lights flashed. He could sense he was moving much slower, and he frowned in consternation. The ground trembled. A strength struck his body, to his astonishment. Divine Wrath, who had just shown up and wasn't known before, had proven he could compete with him. "Piss off." The space around the empty space shrine's leader changed slightly, Lin Feng's spear passed next to his head. The empty space shrine's leader disappeared. He reappeared somewhere else, staring at Lin Feng in fury. Lin Feng flew forwards. He stood proudly in front of the strong cultivators of the three great alliances. The battles around them were fierce and tragic. Both sides had lost peerless saints. 3 peerless saints had already been killed. It was an incredible thing in the continent of the 9 clouds. "Go," said the empty space shrine's leader. The strong cultivators of the empty space shrine and the Thunder Shrine fled. They had fewer cultivators on their side than the 3 great alliances this time. They had relied on their leaders and their ultimate weapons to oppress those independent cultivators, but hadn't thought the independence would be so strong. The Thunder Shrine's leader was extremely powerful, but saintly Emperor Shi the demon was so strong so the Thunder Shrine's leader couldn't kill him. Even though the Empty Space Shrine's leader could seal the space with the celestial sealing map, he couldn't kill Zizhu and Divine Wrath, even if he sealed them. They were at a dead end. "Do you think you can go?" said Lin Feng icily. He suddenly released time strength to move faster and attack someone who was moving away. That person sensed a strange and mysterious strength surround him. He turned around and saw a spear shooting towards him. Freeze! After the Empty Space Shrine took the celestial sealing map away, Zizhu froze time. Many people stopped moving in front of Lin Feng. He could easily kill them with his spear. A vortex made of absorbing strength appeared around the spear, and the spear absorbed their vitality and intent. Bodies exploded and souls dispersed, one after another. "Remember me," shouted the Empty Space Shrine's leader explosively. However, Zizhu just laughed and shot back, "You came to kill us and now you're running away and your people are getting killed. And now you still dare get angry in front of us?" The Thunder Shrine's leader stood in the sky, holding his thunder hammer. He raised it, thunder rumbled out, and lightning descended from the sky. "Back!" shouted Zizhu. Lin Feng and saintly Emperor Shi the demon shot forwards. The Thunder Shrine's leader was surprised at their resolve, and followed those who were running away. "I'm sure we'll meet again." Lin Feng's spear attacked the lightning bolts. He watched those people running away icily. They had still killed 3 Peerless Saints. It was an achievement. Some people were struck by lightning, and lost arms and legs. They were amazed by the power of those ultimate weapons. But their 3 great alliances had still lost less people than the shrines. "Woo!" someone shouted excitedly. They had made 2 shrines' leaders run away, even with their ultimate weapons. "After what happened today, we'll see if they dare attack us again," said someone happily. Everybody would soon know about this throughout the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, and would probably be amazed. "If we continue collaborating, we'll be as strong as the shrines and at the top of the continent of the 9 clouds," Zizhu smiled. Then he looked at the crowd and said, "Tianshui City is the place where we became famous. The 3 great alliances could settle here, what do you think?" "No," said Lin Feng instantly. Zizhu looked at Lin Feng and smiled, "Divine Wrath, what do you suggest? This battle will shake the whole continent. But it's not enough. The Empty Space Shrine's alliance isn't only made of 2 shrines. If we settle in Tianshui City, the 7 shrines will come and attack us here, and will be destroyed instantly," said Lin Feng. "Indeed, Divine Wrath. So, what do you think we should do?" Zizhu asked with a smile. They had seen how Lin Feng was during the battle. "We must take the initiative to attack the 7 Shrines Alliance, we must make them suffer significant losses. They lost 3 Peerless Saints this time, it's not bad already. If we continue and keep up the good work, then we'll stand at the top of the continent of the 9 clouds and we'll be able to control it," said Lin Feng with a hard smile. The 7 shrines formed the Iron Alliance. They are all connected by teleportation portals. "We can't go there and attack them directly," said Zizhu. He was curious. "If we can contact the Fortune Shrines Alliance and join hands with them, we could attack them once," said Lin Feng. Everybody could imagine. The Fortune Shrines Alliance was made of 4 groups, the 3 Great Alliances was made of 3 groups. They didn't know how strong the Fortune Shrines Alliance was, but the 3 Great Alliances were stronger than 3 shrines. Right now, the biggest problem was to fight against the 7 shrines, because they all had ultimate weapons. Otherwise, killing entire groups in the shrines would be something easy for them. "We need to think and plan," said someone. "Yes, indeed, it's not a small thing," Lin Feng agreed. "Let's stay in Tianshui City for now. At the same time, have the news spread so that the Fortune Shrines Alliance hears about us." "Alright, let's go," everybody agreed, and quickly dispersed. They were all happy, the battle had been perfect for them. The news quickly spread throughout the continent of the 9 clouds, and people were astonished. 3 groups of independent cultivators were rising in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. The battles in that chaotic world were getting more and more astounding. Everybody was curious to see how the situation would end up. Would things end up like back in the past? Chapter 2482 The Imperial Court of the Continent of the 9 Clouds. The Divine Wrath Alliance, the Chaotic Sky Alliance, and the Black Bamboo Alliance had become famous. It was still snowing in Tianshui City. Lin Feng was standing there with his hands clasped behind his back. Behind him, someone arrived carefully. It was Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon. Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon left footprints behind him in the snow. He walked up next to Lin Feng and gazed into the distance. "You want to use the strength of the 3 great alliances to destroy the Shrines Alliance?" asked Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon calmly. "Lin Feng, I support you." Lin Feng frowned and slowly turned to look at him. He didn't look indifferent anymore. He was convinced that with his strength, nobody could recognize him anymore. However, that old demon emperor seemed to know who he was. The first person who had told Lin Feng about Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon was the diviner. Back in the days, there was a demon cultivator whom some people called the Demon Emperor. He used to wander around in the continent of the 9 clouds. Lin Feng had heard about the Demon Emperor many times. Lin Feng also remembered Yuan Fei in the Small World, the place where the Demon Emperor was once from used to be called the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit. He also remembered the words he had read in the Jade Emperor's palace. Apart from that, Lin Feng had also seen an image of the Demon Emperor on the Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree, and he had seen many of his images in the Supreme Ancient Pit of Hell, as well. Lin Feng had thought those were only coincidences. The Sky Palace, what was the date tonight? Surprised? The Demon Emperor looked at Lin Feng, smiled and said, "In the Supreme Ancient Pit of Hell, you heard my voice. I am your image, your shadow. You used to be a demon king in the ancient past. Only your own determination can make you understand those things. On the day when you do understand, you'll become the Peerless Demon King. You'll defy the skies, blood will spill unceasingly in the continent of the 9 clouds, and you will be the strongest cultivator in the world. Supreme Ancient Pit of Hell, so it's really you." Lin Feng frowned. "Of course. You think that with your strength, back then, you could have left the Supreme Ancient Pit of Hell? It's your karma. You are the forbidden person, you have a forbidden body. I was earlier than you by 1,000 years, He and Shi. That's our karma, my karma, your karma. I am you, you are me. We are one," said the Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon solemnly. "Karma?" Lin Feng remained silent. Did karma really exist? Does the handsome Monkey King believe in karma? Lin Feng slowly turned his head again and gazed into the distance. Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon didn't say anything. Lin Feng frowned. Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon remained silent. Lin Feng looked at him again and frowned. "You want to rely on the great alliances to destroy the shrines, I'll help you," said Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon smiling. Lin Feng smiled and replied, "Thank you very much." Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon turned around and walked away. Lin Feng watched him go, he had cold sweat down his back. In the Jade Emperor's palace, he had read, "Limitless Sky Palace, what's the date tonight?" Then he also remembered the name of that mountain, the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit. Everything seemed to be pointing at one thing, the incredible Demon Emperor, and he seemed to come from the same place. However, a moment before, he mentioned the handsome Monkey King, and the Demon Emperor changed the topic. Lin Feng found everything quite mysterious. Someone else came to him. It wasn't Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon this time, it was Zizhu. Lin Feng smiled at him in greeting. Zizhu could compete with the Empty Space Shrine's leader, he was extremely strong. Any ideas? Asked Zijou, smiling at Lin Feng. I contacted some strong cultivators, and attacking the fire shrine would be a good idea, said Lin Feng, smiling. Is our target only the Fire Shrines Alliance? What about the Fortune Shrines Alliance? Continued Zijou. Nowadays, the Fire Shrines Alliance is strong. They won't try to oppress us again. Regarding the Fortune Shrines Alliance, I don't think they would do anything to us. They're not stupid, said Lin Feng slowly. Zijou smiled meaningfully. Lin Feng, I support you, said Zijou. Then he also turned around and left. Lin Feng looked at Zijou. He had a strange feeling. He had used a new identity to become the leader of the Divine Wrath Alliance, and now Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon had recognized him. Lin Feng was really convinced that the Demon Emperor was his image, otherwise he wouldn't have recognized him. But what about Zijou? And what was that smile supposed to mean? What did he know? But Lin Feng didn't think about it too much. He wanted to destroy the Fire Shrine and their allies first. After that battle, the continent of the Nine Clouds became quite calm again. However, people from the continent of the Nine Clouds could imagine how furious the Empty Space Shrine and the Thunder Shrine were. Together, in total they had 12 Peerless Saints, and now they had lost 3. Now they were less powerful. However, even then the 7 shrines didn't go to Tian Shui City to get their revenge. The Divine Wrath Alliance, the Chaotic Sky Alliance, and the Black Bamboo Alliance protected that place, and the Fortune Shrines Alliance probably knew that as well. If anyone was watching Tian Shui City, they would be able to inform the Fortune Shrines Alliance if anyone came to attack, and they would come to help the 3 great alliances. The Fortune Shrines Alliance didn't want to miss any opportunity. The 7 shrines needed to protect themselves from the Fortune Shrines Alliance no matter what, because many years ago they had decided to disappear and continue the war until its end. In Lin Feng's Star World. Lin Feng looked at the high-level saints and smiled. Back in the days, I promised that I'd fight against you if I were a high-level saint and that if you defeated me, I'd release you. However, my cultivation level is different from other people's cultivation level. For me, high-level saint means nothing, it doesn't exist. But I have to do what I promised you. Actually, I want you to help me one last time and then I'll release you, said Lin Feng. He was the master of this world, so he controlled their freedom. He could let them leave or not. Only the old ox had privileges in that world. When the golden ape heard Lin Feng, he smiled and said, Lin Feng, you're wrong. I'm wrong. Lin Feng looked at him sharply. Do you really think I'm stuck here and can't leave? The golden ape laughed. When our master left, he wanted us to leave, but we didn't want to. We still wanted to wait for him. We hadn't thought you'd come instead and become the new leader. Besides, you were much weaker than us. You think you could give us orders? Of course not, replied Lin Feng. But now you can, the golden ape smiled. No matter what you want us to do, we'll help you. Lin Feng looked at the golden ape's smile and smiled broadly too. I will become the strongest cultivator in the continent of the 9 Clouds. I will honor your former master. We can't wait, the last bestial saint smiled. Lin Feng nodded and left. After that, he appeared in front of the 3 peerless bestial saints. They opened their eyes and looked at Lin Feng. Should we go to war in the continent of the 9 Clouds? Asked the peerless bestial saint who had helped Lin Feng the previous time. He was smiling as he guessed Lin Feng needed help. Yes, it's a crucial battle. It could change everything in the continent of the 9 Clouds, said Lin Feng straightforwardly. The bestial saint smiled. If you need us, just ask. When Lin Feng heard him, he smiled back. He hadn't gone there for such a long time. He hadn't thought that all the bestial saints who used to be cold to him would have become so nice and helpful. He was touched. Thank you very much, Lin Feng bowed, and then he left. He reappeared in front of a treasure building. He hadn't opened the last door yet. Lin Feng didn't know when the old ox had appeared behind him, but at that moment, he was there and looking at him. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Thank you, old ox." Then, he tapped the old ox's horn. "You're getting more and more audacious," said the old ox angrily. Hee hee. Lin Feng laughed, "Brother ox, all the bestial saints are so nice to me, it's all thanks to you, right?" "Kind of," said the old ox, not admitting anything. "Go inside and have a look." "All right." Lin Feng nodded. He put his hand on the door, strength suddenly filled the air and rolled out in waves. The door began to glow brightly, crackling sound spread in the air. Lin Feng could sense the strength of a peerless saint. He slowly opened the door, and entered the palace. He shivered. There were peerless saints' weapons everywhere. There were around 80 weapons, their spirits terrifying. Even a shrine couldn't have so many peerless saints' weapons. "Those saints' weapons are terrifyingly powerful," he murmured. Unfortunately, he didn't know many peerless saints he could trust. Otherwise, if he had been able to give them to other peerless saints and form an army of 80, that would have been terrifying. They would have been able to destroy the whole world. Chapter 2483 Tianshui City was a calm and peaceful city. The 7 shrines didn't come to get their revenge, which actually made the crowd have bad premonitions. The strong cultivators of the 3 great alliances suddenly left the city. Were they trying to deceive the observers? On the same day, the leaders of the 7 Shrines Alliance gathered in the Fire Shrine. I received some news. The 3 great alliances and the Fortune Shrine are going to divide into 2 influential groups and they will attack 2 of our shrines. They want to make things difficult for us, that way we won't be able to protect ourselves, said the Fire Shrine's leader. Everybody already knew that, so they remained composed. Do you know which shrines they intend to attack? They're not sure yet, and I am not even sure whether it is really true or not, answered the Fire Shrine's leader. Everybody frowned. But I'm sure that they will come. The 3 great alliances left Tianshui City during the night. Oh, what should we do? Asked the Thunder Shrine's leader coldly. He was still furious. The previous time, everybody had heard about what had happened to the Thunder Shrine and the Empty Space Shrine and their humiliation. We can surround and destroy one of them, said the Fire Shrine's leader. Kill which one? Initially, they were a bunch of independent cultivators. We need to destroy them, and I've heard that Lin Feng is with them. Everybody frowned. They hadn't heard of Lin Feng for 500 years. They were all worried because they all thought he would become extremely strong, and someday he'd destroy them. After all, each time Lin Feng showed up, he was much stronger, progressing extremely quickly. Everybody was convinced he had the potential to become a cultivation god. Lin Feng, how's that possible? Why would he be in the Independent Cultivators Alliance? Asked the Empty Space Shrine's leader, curious. From what I heard, he didn't only show up, he also fought against you, said the Fire Shrine's leader, staring at the Empty Space Shrine's leader. Impossible. I have the void-breaking vision, I can see through all things. Someone of my level can't escape from the void-breaking vision. The leader of the Divine Wrath Alliance, Divine Wrath, what do you think? Asked the Fire Shrine's leader. The Empty Space Shrine's leader frowned. He raised his head and looked at the Fire Shrine's leader sharply. How is that possible? How could he have become that strong? Nothing is impossible. That's the reason why I want us to use our full strength to get rid of them. The Fortune Shrine and the Independent Cultivators Alliance want us to feel overwhelmed. They want to move faster than us. Let's learn from them. If it's not true, then we'll just have wasted some time. If it is true, then we can't miss this opportunity, said the Fire Shrine's leader calmly. Everybody remained silent. If their enemies really attacked by surprise and in 2 groups, it would be difficult for them. The best thing to do was to gather and have a big battle. Lin Feng couldn't know what was going on in the fire shrine. He didn't even know how the fire shrine knew who he was. Actually, if Lin Feng knew, he wouldn't even believe it. Finally, Lin Feng, the fortune shrine, and the others agreed to attack the wind shrine and the dazzling gold shrine. The reason why they chose those two shrines was because they were close to each other. If Peerless Saints rushed over, they'd be there in a short time, so they'd use their own power. The other shrines used teleportation portals to cross the longer distances, but if people flew and didn't use teleportation portals, then things would be easier. Lin Feng and the others would have time to react. This time, their goal was to attack as quickly as possible. During the beginning of the attack, the shrines wouldn't know what to do, they'd be unstable, and during that time of instability, they'd have time to carry out a big attack. One strike had to be enough. If it was possible, then they'd also attack a second time by surprise. The three great alliances' target would be the Wind Shrine, the Fortune Shrine's alliance target would be the Dazzling Gold Shrine. Lin Feng was in contact with the Diviner and the Fortune Shrine's leader. At that moment, they had already arrived in the city where the Wind Shrine was. They didn't inspect the Wind Shrine with their godly awareness, it was too dangerous. They needed to do a blitz attack so that the enemies wouldn't have time to react. Why do I have a bad premonition? Thought Lin Feng. He had to be extremely vigilant. Leader, teacher, are you ready? Lin Feng asked the Fortune Shrine's leader and the diviner using the Jade Talisman. We're ready, but Lin Feng, I have a bad premonition, replied the Fortune Shrine's leader. We have reached a point of no return, let's get ready to attack. We attack and then leave instantly, said Lin Feng. He then rose up in the air, his godly awareness rolling in waves above the Wind Shrine. Lin Feng was surprised. There weren't many people in the Wind Shrine. He didn't even notice any Peerless cultivators. It can't be. Suddenly, Lin Feng noticed many strong cultivators apart from them, many Peerless Saints. Boom! Silhouettes rose up in the air, and suddenly, there were extremely strong cultivators all around. The three great alliances' strong cultivators realized that apart from them, there were many terrifying cultivators there. It was as if all the members of the Shrine's alliance had been waiting for them there. They hadn't released their godly awareness until Lin Feng had released his own. Lin Feng, there's absolutely nobody here. The shrine is empty, said a voice to Lin Feng telepathically. Lin Feng frowned, leader, there was an ambush here. The two other shrines' leaders were astonished, too. Hurry up and take the celestial ceiling map away, shouted someone furiously. The empty space shrine's leader took the celestial ceiling map away. They rose into the air and chased after Lin Feng. When they left, the empty space shrine's leader threw out the celestial ceiling map again to seal the shrine again, but at the same time, Lin Feng attacked it again with his spear. He was playing with them. He's wasting time on purpose, said the empty space shrine's leader. He looked nervous. Lin Feng controlled time strength, and was moving too fast. Zizhu, shouted Lin Feng explosively. Zizhu glanced at him and understood what he wanted, he also helped out. Chapter 2484 Zizhu looked at Lin Feng who was coming towards him. They converged on two Peerless Saints and released time strength. Time, freeze, shouted Zizhu icily. The two Peerless Saints stopped moving, their time was frozen. When they noticed Lin Feng was attacking them, he only needed a microsecond to reach them. Fast, said Lin Feng. He increased his own speed. His spear pierced through a Peerless Saint's head. When Zizhu and Lin Feng cooperated, even Peerless Saints seemed weak. As Lin Feng was about to kill the second one, a destructive lightning bolt descended from the sky. Lin Feng moved back and released more time strength. He moved so fast people could hear sonic booms, even among the blurs of movement on the battlefield. Great celestial seal freeze, said a voice icily. The sky became white, it looked frozen. Many strong cultivators died frozen. Crackling sound spread in the air. Peerless saints were freezing. Die, said the dazzling gold shrine's leader, throwing his sky-destroying sword and slicing into the cultivators sealed in the sky. Destructive golden lights slashed through the sky. Many peerless saints fell from the sky. Even though many people were frozen, they continued thinking of what to do next. The Seven Shrines Alliance have the advantage over the three great alliances, especially since they have some ultimate weapons, murmured some people, forgetting about the imminent danger. The Seven Shrines kept gaining ground and encircling the independent cultivators. A moment before, the sky had been frozen by the Ice and Snow Shrine's leader. He was holding an ultimate weapon. It was a door with dark frost on it. It was the freezing door of the Ice and Snow Shrine. He moved towards Lin Feng. The ice and frost strength around Lin Feng was dreadful, he had the impression he was going to freeze instantly. The Empty Space Shrine's leader and the Thunder Shrine's leader also charged him. Back, shouted someone, as cultivators appeared in front of Lin Feng, the three bestial saints. The old ox also appeared in another form. Lin Feng had asked them to intervene at a crucial moment, and they had accepted. At the same time, a peerless bestial saint didn't appear, instead taking the 9 high-level bestial saints to the fire shrine to destroy it. Time, said the old ox, and time stopped. As expected, it's Lin Feng. The shrine's leaders were now convinced that divine wrath was Lin Feng. Hurry up and kill Lin Feng, said the fire shrine's leader. The atmosphere was sealed. 9 celestial thunderbolts descended from the sky. The sky-destroying sword also flashed, the ice and frost door froze the space and grew to great size, oppressing everything. It looked like the apocalypse. Time, freeze, shouted Zizhu furiously. Time stopped. The time strength made Lin Feng and the others' movements limited, too, and the ultimate weapons didn't completely stop moving. Many people looked at them. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. He was encircled by so many shrines leaders and their ultimate weapons, who had sold him out. He felt like he was stuck. The old ox attacked the 9 celestial thunders. His attack looked ordinary, but it was incredibly powerful. Blood appeared on his arm. The 2 other bestial saints were also oppressed. Lin Feng was attacked. His body exploded, but it recondensed higher up in the sky once more. He's not dead. The crowd was astonished. That attack hadn't killed Lin Feng, how strong. He's using the great sky-deceiving illusion technique, no wonder I couldn't see through it. He probably understood several sorts of original strengths at the maximum level, including illusion original strength, and then fused them together. Then he modified it and created his own illusion technique. We're not attacking his real body each time, swore the Empty Space Shrine's leader. The crowd was astonished. No wonder Lin Feng seemed immortal. He was using a special technique he had created. Continue killing. Even though they were slowed down, they didn't stop attacking. Lin Feng's illusory body appeared indistinctly. His perceptions were acute, as if time had really stopped: wind, destructive energies, empty space strength, time. An ice and frost energy surrounded Lin Feng. The ice and frost door moved towards him. A peerless bestial saint jumped into the ice and frost door and gradually disappeared. Lin Feng's face turned deathly pale. A peerless bestial saint had just died because of him. That wasn't the only peerless saint who had died for him actually, many peerless saints had died or were dying. Lin Feng glanced around and thought, maybe I could really make time stop. Time, fast, slow, whispered Lin Feng. The ice and frost door continued moving towards him. The Ice and Snow Shrine's leader smiled icily. I can make time pass either slower or faster, but I haven't managed to understand fast and slow strengths at the maximum level because they are antagonistic kinds of strengths. However, back in the days, I could understand life and death strengths and make them fuse together. Why couldn't I do the same with fast and slow? Thought Lin Feng suddenly. God's strength. With God's strength, he was supposed to be able to control everything, slow, fast, time. They all belonged to the same kind of thing. They were the origin. Lin Feng needed to understand the very source. In the world, everything has an opposite, so everything can be considered in relation to something. Fast can be opposed to slow. Something can be considered as fast if it is faster than something else. Slow is the same. But speed is relative to the speed at which time passes in the world itself. That is the source, and if the source is modified, then slow and fast can fuse together. A special kind of qi surrounded Lin Feng. It was as if some original strengths had been increasing and reached their maximum level and then fused together. It was impossible to see or touch them. Lin Feng was studying. The ice and frost door was getting closer and closer. However, Lin Feng just looked at it, as fearless as if it were nothing special. When slow, fast and time fuse together, then you modify the nature of time itself, it can stop. Thought Lin Feng. Suddenly, the ice and frost door stopped in front of him, and it wasn't the only thing. It was as if the source of time had changed. Everything stopped all around him. Even Zizhu couldn't understand what was going on. Zizhu had fused 3 types of original strengths at the maximum level together, time, slow, and water, which was why he could make things slow down and then freeze them on top of that, so they moved even slower. Lin Feng's new technique surpassed Zizhu's. Lin Feng understood time better than Zizhu now. However, it only stopped for a few seconds, but it was enough. Lin Feng streaked across the sky and saved another peerless bestial saint who was about to get killed. Phew, the peerless bestial saint took a deep breath. He looked at Lin Feng. What had just happened? He didn't understand. The old ox also looked at Lin Feng and smiled. Lin Feng had managed to do something the old ox had never managed to do. Actually, the old ox understood several sorts of original strengths, but he only fused fast and time strengths together, as well as slow and time, and slow and fast, but he hadn't fused the 3 of them together. He had also fused other sorts of original strengths fused together to carry out powerful attacks. He had easily become a peerless saint, but he had needed a great deal of time. Lin Feng had surpassed him by far. At that moment, Lin Feng was thinking that it was extremely difficult to modify the source of something. Making time stop was extremely hard, too. At that moment, lights dashed to the skies, flaring brightly. Lin Feng was delighted. The dazzling gold shrine hadn't destroyed their teleportation portal, so the Fortune Shrine's cultivators had used it to arrive. The 7 Shrines Alliance hadn't destroyed their teleportation portal because they weren't sure the news was true. If they had destroyed it, it would have been even more difficult to teleport. They had done many things though, and had even managed to kill several peerless saints of the 3 great alliances. It was already a great loss. Chapter 2485 The 7 Shrines Alliance also realized that the strong cultivators of the Fortune Shrines Alliance were there. Their expressions changed. The Ice and Snow Shrines leader shouted, "Hurry up and kill those people, kill Lin Feng first." "All right," said the Empty Space Shrines leader nodding. He looked at Lin Feng icily. Lin Feng was strong. They still hadn't managed to kill him yet. "Brother Ox, let's move back," said Lin Feng. He didn't wait for them to attack. He stopped time once again. Only the old ox could avoid being slowed down by time. At the same time, Lin Feng accelerated using time strength. He moved to the peerless bestial saint and took him away. After that, time returned to normal again. Some strong cultivators gathered outside of the celestial ceiling map and attacked it. Among them were the Earth Shrine's leader with the godly axe and the Celestial Sound Shrine's leader with their ultimate weapon, a celestial pitch pipe. With the ultimate weapons and the Peerless Saint's attacks, the celestial map was shaking violently. The celestial ceiling map is going to break. The empty space shrine's leader looked extremely worried. But how had Lin Feng escaped a moment before? Everything had happened in a few seconds. Time had stopped. Chase him. The empty space shrine's leader continued chasing Lin Feng. Lin Feng shouted, "Come here." Lin Feng raised his spear and stuck the celestial ceiling map. "Break," said Lin Feng. A hole appeared, and Lin Feng jumped into the hole. The Fortune Shrine's leader and the others understood. The Earth Shrine's leader also used the godly axe to make the hole bigger. The hole in the map was getting bigger and bigger. Lacerate. All the strong cultivators moved towards the hole and attacked it. It was like the sky was falling. The empty space shrine's leader's face stiffened and turned deathly pale. He waved his hand and recalled the celestial ceiling map. However, there was a big hole in it now. Die. The Fortune Shrine's leader and the others came in and released an explosive chi. People from the city were stupefied. They had never seen so many terrifying cultivators. The strongest cultivators of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds were almost all there. It was the most powerful battle since the war in the ancient past. The group of people who were attacking destroyed a Peerless Saint instantly and then shot in all directions. Earth Shrine's leader, let's join hands. Try and don't fight, don't collide with enemies directly, shouted Lin Feng's furiously. Everybody nodded and started moving away. The Earth Shrine's leader had the godly axe. He came to Lin Feng and asked, "How do we join hands? Help me block the attacks." "Brother Ox, help me and protect me too," Lin Feng said to the old ox. A few strong cultivators appeared in front of them, the shrine's leaders who were chasing him. "Stand still," shouted Lin Feng icily. Time's strength appeared, and time stopped in front of him. Time stopped for his enemies and his own people. He had modified the source of time. Lin Feng attacked the Wind Shrine's leader who was in the front. The Wind Shrine was the fastest of the leaders, so he was closer to Lin Feng. He was even holding an ultimate weapon, a fan that served as an armor, too. It was black, white, and silver, and it looked extremely sharp. Lin Feng threw himself at the Wind Shrine's leader. He used time strength to move faster, turned into a god sword, and the space shook around him. No, the Wind Shrine's leader became animate again when time restarted, looking desperate and shocked. Oh no! The other shrine's leaders were stunned and their faces all changed. The empty space shrine's leader shouted out. Space condensed, but at the same time, all their attacks became slower. The Earth Shrine's leader knew what Lin Feng wanted to do, so he also threw the godly axe and moved forwards. He realized he was moving much faster too, there was a silhouette next to him. Die, shouted Lin Feng furiously. The sword whistled, even as the Wind Shrine's leader moved into the wind. Slow, shouted Lin Feng explosively. His sword pierced through the man's shoulder bone, and at the same time it absorbed his strength. Blood gushed out. The Wind Shrine's leader was injured, and continued fleeing. At the same time, he threw his ultimate weapon out, and a destructive strength appeared around Lin Feng. Illusion destruction. Lin Feng's body exploded. However, at that moment, the Wind Shrine's leader wasn't happy because danger came from above. Time, stand still, shouted Lin Feng. A sword appeared in Lin Feng's hand and pierced through his enemy's head. The Wind Shrine's leader wanted to escape with his soul and cried out desperately. The god sword came back to Lin Feng's hand, and he destroyed the leader's impaled soul. That's his real body. A gigantic empty space hand appeared in front of Lin Feng. The Earth Shrine's leader and the old ox had already destroyed many attacks and enemies around Lin Feng, however, some attacks still arrived in front of Lin Feng. He expected them, and withdrew. He modified the speed of time, his god's sword humming angrily. At the same time, he condensed strength into his hand and thunder boomed. Lin Feng sensed an incredible strength penetrate into his body and corrode his life. He instantly released life strength all around him and retreated. The enemy was still chasing him, but he was much slower, which made Lin Feng smile icily. All the strong cultivators stopped. They had just now seen him kill a shrine's leader, and were scared. Now they saw Lin Feng smile, he was making fun of them. They were very nervous, as they understood Lin Feng was playing with them. At the same time, the Earth Shrine's leader and the old ox also arrived next to Lin Feng. "You can make time stop," the Earth Shrine's leader said to Lin Feng. He didn't know what to think though, was it a good or a bad thing? Lin Feng was becoming stronger and it was good to fight against the Seven Shrines Alliance, but in the future, what would happen? Dazzling world lights flashed and descended from the sky, surrounding everybody. Lin Feng raised his head and saw a face in the sky, the World Clan's king. Lin Feng had seen that person a very, very long time ago, the king of the 10,000 beasts. The World Clan had had problems with the shrines in the past, so he had had several lives in the lower world, then he had created the king of the 10,000 beasts world to raise an army to fight against the shrines. "Lin Feng, you continue killing, the shrine's leaders and me will continue on our side," the World Clan's king said to him. Lin Feng nodded, "Thank you." Lin Feng disappeared. The Fortune Shrine's leader and the Celestial Sound Shrine's leader replaced him to fight against the shrine's leaders. They didn't need to win, they just had to defend. Lin Feng could make time stop, so killing other Peerless Saints was easy. Very quickly, Lin Feng arrived in front of someone, who panicked to see him. Lin Feng made time stop. The god's sword streaked across the sky and killed him instantly, his soul dispersed. By the time the shrine's leaders destroyed the world lights, they saw that Lin Feng had already killed 2 Peerless Saints in the blink of an eye. They all grimaced. Lin Feng's understanding of cultivation was becoming extremely dangerous. What a tragedy! "Escape," shouted someone. Finally, the 7 shrine strong cultivators started giving up and escaping. The problem was that Lin Feng could only make time stop sporadically, he didn't understand time well enough yet, and needed to wait between each attack. Therefore, he couldn't make time stop and kill everybody at once. However, he didn't intend to give up. He decided to chase them. The king of the 10,000 beasts had slowed them down for a little while. When Lin Feng made time stop, he used the source of time. It also impacted his own people, so they couldn't catch up with the enemy. Therefore, Lin Feng could only catch up with one person at a time. Lin Feng caught up with one and used his god's sword to attack him. After killing that person, he used his godly awareness to inspect the area and stopped when he couldn't see any Peerless Saints anymore. Since he had started chasing them, he had already killed 3 Peerless Saints. Lin Feng's achievements were incredible during that battle, but he didn't look happy at all. It was a tragedy, both sides had suffered losses. Lin Feng turned around and flew back. After a short time, he arrived back on the battlefield. The battle was finished, people who were alive looked devastated and sad. It took cultivators a very long time to become a Peerless Saint, and today, so many had died. Chapter 2486, Gloomy Atmosphere. The inhabitants of the city below had been shocked by the battles. The Wind Shrine's leader had even been killed. Lin Feng is so strong. He showed up again and now he can compete with the shrine's leaders. He can even kill some. How incredible, murmured some people. Lin Feng went back to the old ox and said, "Brother Ox, I'm sorry. Who would have thought such a thing would happen? You did nothing wrong. The only problem is who sold you out," said the old ox. Someone had betrayed them. Their plan was perfect, they could have had a beautiful victory. But we still won even if we suffered losses, the old ox sighed. Lights flashed, the Peerless bestial saint and the old ox disappeared. Lin Feng took out his jade talisman and said, "How are things?" "The Fire Shrine's teleportation portal is wrecked. The Fire Shrine's members haven't had time to come back using teleportation. We're done here. The Fire Shrine is already a mess." "I'm looking for your clone," answered the Peerless bestial saint who hadn't come with Lin Feng to the Wind Shrine. He had gone to the Fire Shrine with the 9 high-level bestial saints. When Lin Feng had noticed the teleportation portal of the Fire Shrine, he had noted its location. Initially, the teleportation portal hadn't been used because the Fire Shrine's cultivators had already been here. Therefore, Lin Feng had made them break the teleportation portal as quickly as possible. The Peerless bestial saint had taken a Peerless saint's weapon and the high-level bestial saints. They had done a great job. "Thank you for your hard work," said Lin Feng. It had been very dangerous for them. If the Fire Shrine's cultivators had been able to use the teleportation portal, things could have been worse. "We found your clone, how are you there, Lin Feng?" "You can talk to my clone," replied Lin Feng. He put the jade talisman away. His clone had been stuck in the Fire Shrine for so many years. Lin Feng hated the Fire Shrine more than anything. "Lin Feng," the Fortune Shrine's leader, called out to Lin Feng. His silhouette flickered and landed next to him. "Leader, how bad are the losses?" asked Lin Feng. "When we arrived, you had already become even stronger, so we didn't suffer too many losses," replied the Fortune Shrine's leader. But, Lin Feng sensed something, the Divine Wrath Alliance's people were looking at him icily. Lin Feng had used them. They had suffered great losses. "Lin Feng, we admit that you are extremely strong and talented. You're an extraordinary person, however, that being the case, you used us to fight against the Fire Shrine, and you didn't use your full strength until the Fortune Shrine's alliance arrived. The 3 great alliances suffered tragic losses." "That's not good," said someone. Many people from the 3 great alliances thought that way. They had seen how strong Lin Feng was, and he hadn't protected them properly. They were really unhappy. Lin Feng had really used them for the benefit of the Fortune Shrine. Lin Feng looked at them and said, "I know you all think that way. I hadn't thought the battle would end up this way. I am really, really sorry. Regarding my strength, I became stronger during the battle, and one of my protectors saved my life at that precise moment. Do you really think I would want my allies to get killed? You don't care. From now on, the Fortune Shrine doesn't need to fear the 7 Shrines Alliance. I think the Divine Wrath Shrine should settle here in the Wind Shrine City. If you feel like it, we can settle here, and you can choose a new leader. If you wish, I can continue being the leader, and someday, when the Divine Wrath Shrine becomes stable and powerful enough, I can leave," said Lin Feng. He didn't try to explain anything, he just kept his composure. Many people's heart twitched. "Divine Wrath Shrine. I am also willing to offer 3 Peerless Saints' weapons as a sign of gratitude," said Lin Feng. Everybody's heart started pounding. They started believing Lin Feng, maybe it was an accident. "I trust him. And I am willing to join you to create the Divine Wrath Shrine," said Zizhu. Everybody glanced at him. Being the founding member of a shrine was really something amazing. Many years in the future, maybe the Divine Wrath Shrine would tower aloft, and everybody in the continent of the 9 clouds would know them. "Alright, I trust him too. Lin Feng doesn't need to lie to us," said an old man. Everybody started believing him, and most people ended up agreeing to found the Divine Wrath Shrine. Even though they had suffered great losses, the 3 great alliances could now become the Divine Wrath Shrine. Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon and Zizhu were extremely strong, and now they just needed an ultimate weapon. Everybody can discuss the details. The Wind Shrine's ultimate weapon is in the Empty Space Shrine's leader's hands now. He will not give it up for sure, so they will probably argue about it. The Wind Shrine will never be able to rise again. From now on, this place is the Divine Wrath Shrine, said Lin Feng calmly. Excitement began to build. Then Lin Feng looked at the Fortune Shrine's leader and said, "Leader, I can't modify the scepter, take it back." The Fortune Shrine's leader looked at Lin Feng. He didn't understand. Lin Feng sounded a bit harsh. "Lin Feng, I gave you the scepter of destiny, maybe you can't modify it now, but in the future, you will understand," said the Fortune Shrine's leader insistently. Finally, Lin Feng nodded reluctantly. Lin Feng. An old man came up to Lin Feng and smiled. "Master, King of the 10,000 Beasts." The King of the 10,000 Beasts had helped Lin Feng in the past, so Lin Feng respected him. "Call me brother now." "Back then, I never thought you would progress so fast, or that you'd change the situation of the continent of the 9 clouds before me," said the King of the 10,000 Beasts, smiling. "Brother, I wouldn't have thought it'd be you, either. No wonder you came to look for me back then in the small world. And on top of that, you had already transcended worldliness. Back in the days, you experienced my lives. One of them was my first life. Back in the days, I founded the World Clan, but the Fire Shrine oppressed me and wanted the World Clan to disappear forever. Therefore, I took my people away and hid in another world for a very long time to practice hard and come back to life," said the King of the 10,000 Beasts, smiling in a carefree manner. "But the Fire Shrine's leader is strong. He's already extremely old, older than most of the other leaders. But I intend to take the fighting phantoms with me to go and fight against him." "We must destroy the Fire Shrine," said Lin Feng. "Yes. When do you want to attack?" asked the King of the 10,000 Beasts. "First, the members of the Divine Wrath Shrine need to rest. Our enemies can't pose a threat to us for now," said Lin Feng calmly. "Lin Feng, I don't think so. Now is the best opportunity to attack. We could target the dazzling gold shrine, for example," said the Fortune Shrine's leader. "I agree. What do you think, Lin Feng?" said the King of the 10,000 Beasts, his smile hard. Lin Feng shook his head. He didn't agree. "Since you don't agree, we won't force you. Fortune Shrine's leader, let's go to the dazzling gold shrine together." "All right," said the Fortune Shrine's leader, nodded. Then he glanced at Lin Feng in a meaningful way and left with his group. Very quickly, only the members of the 3 great alliances were left there. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and the others were in the sky. The only ones who knew who he was, were Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon, the Fortune Shrine's leader, and the Diviner. Nobody among the peerless saints of the 3 great alliances knew who he really was. Someone had sold him out, and that was why they had had such problems. At that moment, someone slowly walked to Lin Feng. Lin Feng turned around and saw the Diviner. He smiled and said, "Teacher. I am well aware you couldn't anticipate all this." "Don't worry," the Diviner smiled. He was trying to cheer Lin Feng up. "Teacher, it was a man-caused calamity," Lin Feng said to the Diviner. The Diviner was sad for Lin Feng. He had known Lin Feng for a very long time. He gazed into the distance and said, "Lin Feng, you know, as the leader of a shrine, you think of the shrine first. And making the Fortune Shrine powerful is the Fortune Shrine's leader's goal." Lin Feng's heart twitched and he said, "And everything that happened before? Was that fake?" The Diviner sighed and left. Lin Feng looked at the Diviner's back. Lin Feng was a member of the Fortune Shrine. What if he had died during the battle? Chapter 2487, Meeting. What happened had a big impact on Lin Feng's mood. It took him a while to calm down. What his teacher had told him probably confirmed what he had thought. Everything happened for the Fortune Shrine. But did the Fortune Shrine do their best to protect him for the Fortune Shrine, too? And now, hadn't the Fortune Shrine used that opportunity to use him? Lin Feng still couldn't understand some things in that world. He didn't like using people. He had feelings. Even though he had gone through a lot in life and was strong, he still didn't understand some things. He wasn't emotionless. During those days, things changed drastically in the continent of the 9 clouds. So many peerless saints had died, the Wind Shrine's leader had died, and the Divine Wrath Shrine had been founded. All those things amazed the whole continent. After that, the Fortune Shrine's alliance destroyed the dazzling Gold Shrine, so just like the Celestial Sound Shrine, they had nowhere to go anymore. Things were changing quickly, and the 7 Shrines alliance wasn't in the best situation. Right after the Divine Wrath Shrine was founded, many strong cultivators joined them, and it became incredibly strong. They recruited some disciples. They also hoped that peerless saints would join them and become senior officials of the Divine Wrath Shrine. They might become extremely strong in the future that way. However, Lin Feng didn't think about those things. He practiced cultivation really hard. He was meditating and forgot about worldly affairs. He had managed to fuse 3 original strengths together and he could make time stop for a second. He wanted to improve his powers and abilities now, so he isolated himself from the outside world. On the way, a few of Lin Feng's friends came by, so he stopped meditating and met them, Ho Qin Lin, Lang Yi, and Jun Mo Shi. Lin Feng was extremely happy to see them. Lin Feng, when we separated last time, we didn't think you'd become a peerless saint, and now you're even able to stop time, and you've become a shrine's leader, Lang Yi smiled. The Divine Wrath Shrine's leader was still Lin Feng. Over 500 years had passed since he saw them last. Lang Yi had also become stronger. The king of the 10,000 beasts had supported him and he had a king-type body. He had traveled a lot, and he had created many small worlds, been in many mysterious worlds. He was now a high-level saint. Ho Qin Lin had also become a high-level saint. Shortly after the shrine's agreement 500 years before, Ho Qin Lin had become a low-level saint, then he had continued practicing cultivation really hard and become a high-level saint. Against all expectations, Jun Mo Shi was still only a low-level saint. I didn't think we'd have the opportunity to meet again after all that happened in the continent of the 9 clouds, said Lin Feng smiling and clapping his friend's shoulders. We should have drinks today, said Lang Yi smiling. Yes, we should have drinks today, Lin Feng agreed cheerfully. This time, I prepared some strong alcohol, Jun Mo Shi grinned. They walked aside. Jun Mo Shi took out many bottles of strong alcohol and threw some of them at his friends. Lin Feng, do you remember the first time we met? Lang Yi asked Lin Feng. I remember. I was with Meng Qing and you helped us. Huh, yes. Back then, the World Clan thought Meng Qing was a forbidden person. We only learned you were a forbidden person when our leader came back. The king of the 10,000 beasts went back to the World Clan only afterwards, asked Lin Feng. He was curious. Yes, he was hiding in one of the World Clan's worlds. He trained people and also practiced cultivation a lot. In the end, he created a terrifying army, and that's how the World Clan came back to life, said Lang Yi sighing. So many years had passed, yet the leader of the World Clan was still determined. The king of the 10,000 beasts is patient and proud, said Lin Feng, nodding and drinking. He looked at Jun Mo Shi and Ho Qin Lin and said, Mo Shi, back then in Dragon Mountain, we were very young, high-spirited and vigorous. We never thought we would make this far. We never thought hundreds of years would pass in the twinkling of an eye. And you, brother, back in the days, we were the 11 disciples of Tian Tai, we went through so many hardships. We were proud. We dreamed of becoming peerless cultivators. We had to fight against the members of the Tian Long Divine Castle all the time. We even killed their princes, you remember. We weren't afraid, even though nobody thought we had potential. It feels like a dream. Jun Mo Shi and Ho Qin Lin remembered, they felt nostalgic all of a sudden. Sometimes, they missed the good old times, sometimes, they asked themselves what the point of cultivation was. But it didn't prevent them from persevering and keeping it up. Good men miss the good old times and remember their close ones. Someday, Tian Tai will tower aloft in the continent of the 9 clouds again, said Ho Chin Lin. His long hair was fluttering in the wind. He still looked natural and unrestrained. Alright, with friends, we're not lonely. Cheers, brothers, said Jun Mo Shi, raising his glass, and then they all drank heartily. Lin Feng had fun drinking with his friends. It was rare to be able to relax like that. They drank all day and all night. They had millions of things to talk about, they were like brothers. On the next day, 2 more people came to see Lin Feng. He was extremely happy. They were his sons, Zhe Tian and Xiong Sheng. Jun Mo Shi, Ho Chin Lin, Lang Yi, Zhe Tian and Qin Lin were all together. They chatted and laughed. When the father is a lion, the son cannot be a dog. Lin Feng, your son is stronger than me, said Lang Yi. He couldn't see Zhe Tian's cultivation level anymore. Xiong Sheng had already become a high-level saint, how incredible. They were also very lucky, they got a great teacher, Lin Feng smiled. He knew that Zhe Tian and Xiong Sheng were strong, but if they hadn't encountered Mr. Time, they wouldn't have become that strong so quickly. Mr. Time was a terrifying cultivator. But they're extremely talented anyway, Lang Yi observed. Jun Mo Shi said, I remember you and Yu back then during the great competition of Shuiyu. Now, so many years have passed, and your son is stronger than I am. Uncle Mo Shi, don't ridicule me, Xiong Sheng told Jun Mo Shi. You know who I am. Of course, I know you, Uncle Ho Chin Lin and Uncle Lang Yi. My mother told me my dad's and your stories. I want to be like my father and have such great friends. You know how to talk to people, better than your daddy, said Jun Mo Shi, laughing happily. Lin Xiong Sheng scratched his head. Alright, how come you're here, boys? Asked Lin Feng. Mr. Time had us come back. Mr. Time said that Zhe Tian could now help you fight. I'm not that strong yet, but I'm sure I'll be able to fuse 2 sorts of special original strengths together soon, said Lin Xiongsheng, smiling self-consciously. Zhe Tian exclaimed, Dad, I can finally help you. You think I'm not good for fighting anymore, replied Lin Feng, smiling wryly. Then he heard some steps behind him. Leader, shouted someone. Lin Feng turned around, what's wrong? Leader, the elders want us to join the battles. The Fortune Shrine and the Empty Space Shrine have been having some fierce battles recently. Should we join them as well? The members of the Divine Wrath Shrine knew how strong Lin Feng was. Not only was he strong, but he was also very good in terms of strategy. That's why they wanted to keep Lin Feng as their leader. Yes, tell all the elders that they can listen to Zizhu's orders. If I want to fight, I'll intervene, said Lin Feng. That person nodded, yes, leader. After that, the person walked away. Lin Feng said, I need to meditate in seclusion some more. What do you all intend to do? Alright, since you need to study, go and practice cultivation in peace. Don't worry about us, Ho Chin Lin said to Lin Feng. Dad, we'll be around waiting for you, said Zhe Tian. Alright, Lin Feng nodded. He left them, heading to a quiet room and then going into his own world. Up in the sky, Lin Feng created a pavilion where he could practice cultivation without being disturbed. He could also study his own world there. In the outside world, 500 years had passed. In Lin Feng's world, time initially passed 800% faster and gradually it increased to more than 1000%. Therefore, thousands of years had passed inside. It had already turned into a continent. There were many cities and cultivators everywhere. In Lin Feng's previous life, 5,000 years were long enough for a country to become a civilization with a culture. It was a very, very long time. Those years, Lin Feng helped his saints become stronger. He had them do various things to improve his own world, and took them as disciples. Chapter 2488, Ruler's Godly Imprint. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged in his pavilion. In his world, he was a god. Now, he could do almost anything in his world. He had changed it a lot. The qi in his own world had become mysterious and powerful. In front of him, there were all sorts of strengths, which turned into rivers and flowed towards him. Condense, said Lin Feng. The rivers collided together and condensed. Dazzling golden lights appeared in the sky. They looked like lights of righteousness, noble as a god's halo. Lin Feng was God in his world, but his original strengths hadn't all reached the maximum level. They were just extremely pure and had turned into a special god strength. Even if the strengths were not at the maximum level, they were still powerful, and they increased as Lin Feng became stronger. As he studied, his original strengths also became more powerful. These years, Lin Feng had generated more and more clones. They practiced cultivation everywhere, and they studied all sorts of things. Only his real body practiced things which were really specific to him, including things related to his own world. He also wanted to create a godly spell. He had started, but it was still rudimentary. He hadn't managed to finish it. However, after the recent battles, he had almost died, and it had allowed him to understand how to make time stop. Therefore, he had decided to meditate in seclusion. If Ho Qing Lin and the others hadn't come to visit him, he wouldn't have come out. But he had had a great time with his friends. They had talked about all sorts of things, and it had also helped him understand a few things, so it had been beneficial for his cultivation. Perseverance was important. In the world of cultivation, people were usually cold and detached, emotionless. They only cared about their own interests. Lin Feng had gone through so much in life, but he had never become emotionless or heartless. He had compassion, he had feelings. He was attached to his feelings, and he didn't want to give them up, so it was also a way for him to persevere. He wanted to be true to himself no matter what. He didn't want to go against his own convictions. To progress on the path of cultivation, several things were important all along that journey. In the star world, the god had transmitted knowledge to him because he had studied celestial Tao. He hadn't gone against his own convictions. He was true to himself, and he had received extensive knowledge and a profound scholarship. When he had become a saint, he had decided to be true to himself too, just like Saint Emperor Freeze, who had decided to return to the source. Chu Chun Chiu had actually done the same. He had remained true to himself by going against the will of heaven. He had become his own god, a bit like Lin Feng. When you understand celestial Tao, you remain true to yourself and you can create your own self, whispered Lin Feng. His state of mind became extremely particular, and he started dreaming. He experienced a lot in that dream. Time passed. He studied and experienced many other people's lives. He studied all sorts of strengths. He studied the celestial evolution holy scriptures, demon skills, the ancient holy techniques, and in his dream, everything flowered briefly like the broad-leaved epiphyllum. Many years passed. In his mind, Lin Feng saw many dazzling stars. Great imperial and imperial qi appeared and intertwined. Lin Feng transformed them. They looked like ancient imprints. A chessboard made of stars appeared. They had their own pulsations, their own patterns, and yet blended into nature. It continued for 3 years, but Lin Feng didn't notice that. Of course, because time was different in his world, in the outside world, only a few months passed. On that day, Lin Feng opened his eyes and dazzling golden lights flashed. He was surrounded by a saint's aura. He looked solemn, his qi looked noble, and resembled nature itself. His energies were of the highest quality. Lin Feng's whole body had changed. In order to transmit a saint's technique, you need to use your godly awareness, so nobody can steal or study my saint's technique. If I want to transmit this one, I must transmit it using my godly awareness, he murmured. A saint's technique had to be transmitted using godly awareness, otherwise the receiver wasn't able to grasp the details. I'm a god here, everything is like an imprint I created. Therefore, I will call this attack my ruler's godly imprint, he declared. The ruler's godly imprint could replace the god's sword, it was much more powerful. When Lin Feng thought about it, he inspected the whole world, and went to the holy place of Xueyu. The empire of Xueyu had become a place with many extremely strong cultivators. It had become much bigger, too. Xueyu was as big as a city of the continent of the 9 clouds. There were many saints there. Saint emperors were also quite common. Emperors were considered weak. There were trillions of them. Lin Feng arrived in Xueyu and spent some time with his family members. He also convoked the saints of Xueyu and taught them various things. The saints of Xueyu considered Lin Feng a god. They all bowed before him. Lin Feng brought his 2 sons to his world. Then he attended to the Divine Wrath Shrine. There were still many incredible battles in the continent of the 9 clouds. The different influential groups of the continent were relentless. They all wanted to become stronger, and they all wanted to take advantage of those chaotic times to rise. Lin Feng went up to a saint of the Divine Wrath Shrine and asked, "What does the situation of the shrines look like now?" Back then, the Empty Space Shrines Alliance lost. The Empty Space Shrine wanted to use the Wind Shrine's precious treasure. 2 saints from the Wind Shrine remained and they didn't agree, but the Empty Space Shrine's leader killed them instantly. At the same time, the Empty Space Shrine's leader sent people to kill some others from their own alliance who didn't agree with him. The other shrines of their alliance didn't want to offend the Empty Space Shrine's leader anymore. The celestial sealing map was broken, the Wind Shrine's ultimate weapon was a kind of substitute. If they continue having inner conflicts, they'll become weaker and weaker. The Empty Space Shrine's alliance had a few inner conflicts, and the Fortune Shrine attacked them a few times, but the losses were too important. Now, if the Empty Space Shrine's alliance fights against the Fortune Shrine's alliance, they'll both suffer great losses. Nobody has the advantage anymore. There's an equilibrium in the balance of power now. In the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, the influential groups are all competing. There are a few incredible cultivators, especially one of them, Chu Chun Chiu, who used to be a member of the Fortune Shrine. He's turned into a gigantic demon, he can now destroy entire sects or clans instantly. When he does so, he absorbs their strong cultivators' vitality. He created an incredibly powerful sky-absorbing saint's technique and can absorb people's strength. It is said that he has already killed and absorbed the strength of billions of people, and he started 500 years ago. Now his victims are just stronger and stronger. Many strong cultivators in the continent of the 9 clouds are watching him. When Lin Feng heard that, he shivered. Chu Chun Chiu had decided to become a real destructive demon. He just killed anyone as long as he could become stronger. How dangerous. Alright, I understand, Lin Feng nodded. The news that he had stopped meditating in seclusion quickly spread. A few months later, the king of the 10,000 beasts came to see Lin Feng. He asked, "Lin Feng, how come you didn't tell us you had stopped meditating in seclusion?" Lin Feng smiled, "Brother, do you need my help? Back in the days, we agreed we'd destroy our enemies, we said we would stand at the very top of the world. Now we have an opportunity, so of course I came to see you, what do you think?" said the king of the 10,000 beasts. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled, he asked, "What is your idea?" "Right now, the Fire Shrine and the others are already extremely weak. I want to attack both the Fire Shrine and the Dazzling Gold Shrine at the same time. This time, we'll crush the Dazzling Gold Shrine and we'll cut the Fire Shrine's wings." "What do you think?" the king of the 10,000 beasts asked. Lin Feng was surprised. "We can't let the same thing as last time happen this time. I will send my people to the Fire Shrine to watch them. When we're sure, we can attack," said the king of the 10,000 beasts sharply. Lin Feng sighed, his eyes glittered, and he said, "All right, I'll convoke the members of the Divine Wrath Shrine, let's get ready to go to the dazzling gold shrine." Chapter 2489, Champions battling the dazzling gold shrine was not very lucky. They had been attacked several times, but at the same time, they didn't collapse completely. The fire shrine helped them survive. Lin Feng had turned into someone else, and the king of the 10,000 beasts had done the same thing. They were both walking around like ordinary people near the dazzling gold shrine. The king of the 10,000 beasts' illusion abilities were really good. When we attack, they'll use the teleportation portals. Then, the World Clan will attack. You can waste some time. I will send some people to guard the teleportation portals, and after that, we can destroy them. Then, we can wipe the dazzling gold shrine off the maps of the continent of the 9 clouds forever, the king of the 10,000 beasts told Lin Feng telepathically. If anyone around them had heard that, they would have been astonished. The king of the 10,000 beasts sounded quite casual, as if wiping a shrine off the map of the continent was something normal. "All right," said Lin Feng nodded. If the fire shrine and their allies had given up their fortresses, they could have survived longer, but they hadn't, and in such circumstances, their enemies could attack them more easily. When a shrine weakened, their enemies never missed the opportunity to attack and destroy them. Now it was time to settle some accounts. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the castles in the sky. He remembered back then what the king of the 10,000 beasts had told them. Who would ever disdain them if they stood at the very top? Finally, it was time to rise to the very top. "There, it's going to start," said the king of the 10,000 beasts. After a short time, an incredible empty space strength emerged from a castle. Lights flashed and dashed to the skies. Someone was using the teleportation portal. "Come out." Suddenly, world lights rolled through the sky. People came out of world coffins, and chi invaded the space. It happened so suddenly that the members of the dazzling gold shrine were extremely nervous. Suddenly, the world coffins descended from the sky and attacked people. Many people died instantly. More world lights emerged from the World Clan's army and surrounded the whole dazzling gold shrine. They continued slaughtering people. They were merciless. Those were the rules of war. If they didn't kill, they would get killed, just like the Soul Shrine back then. They had to completely annihilate their enemies, otherwise they would come back to life and then they'd be able to get their revenge, just like the World Clan. If the World Clan had been completely destroyed back then, they wouldn't have been able to come back to life, and now they were destroying their old enemies. In the sky, more empty space strength undulated, and the king of the 10,000 beasts whispered, "They're back, let's go." He turned into a beam of light and disappeared. Lin Feng was watching with his godly awareness, so he could see everything. Very quickly, the king of the 10,000 beasts people destroyed the teleportation portals of the dazzling gold shrine. The king of the 10,000 beasts was in the sky, and cast an escape-proof net of strength to seal the area. World lights glittered and formed a vortex that was the only exit. Only the king of the 10,000 beasts could have such powerful world lights, thought Lin Feng. Figures appeared all around, all strong cultivators from the Divine Wrath Shrine. They moved quickly in all directions. At the same time, Lin Feng flew up and landed on a castle's roof. He could see all the battles from there. The dazzling gold shrine's leader's face was deathly pale. He saw Lin Feng, who had transformed again. This time, Lin Feng's face was his real face, he returned to his normal face. "Lin Feng, you created the Divine Wrath Shrine, why do you join hands with them to slaughter us? Aren't you afraid? After you destroy us, I think the Fortune Shrine's alliance will destroy you, and the Divine Wrath Shrine," said the dazzling gold shrine's leader icily, staring at Lin Feng. "You remember the sky-destroying sword in the Fortune Shrine, and the Rock King's surprise attack? If I weren't lucky, I'd be dead already," said Lin Feng calmly. He even looked indifferent. Since it's that way, go ahead and die, then. The dazzling gold shrine's leader took out the sky-destroying sword, a sharp chi filling the air. The dazzling gold shrine's leader flew up and threw himself at Lin Feng. Time, stand still, said Lin Feng icily. Everything stopped around him, even the destructive sword lights stopped. Lin Feng slowly walked towards the dazzling gold shrine's leader. Time had stopped and he looked extremely fast. Lin Feng released an incredible strength, millions of ancient imprints appearing. It was ruler's strength, noble and supreme. It condensed and absorbed the chi of the earth and the sky. The ancient imprints looked like the marks of the gods. The dazzling gold shrine's leader came back to awareness, his sky-destroying sword continued moving. It contained ultimate strength, and explosive power. On the ground, saints were fighting and chi exploded everywhere. Bodies exploded as saints died. What an incredible battle. Surprisingly, he can resist an ultimate weapon, thought the members of the dazzling gold shrine on the ground. A disaster had befallen them, their leader who had an ultimate weapon was their only hope. However, Lin Feng could resist their leader, he was terrifying. Only a god can rule over the world, said Lin Feng. He was standing in the sky, and looked like an immortal god. Heavy ruler's godly imprints kept bombarding the space. The dazzling gold shrine's leader felt oppressed, his heart was pounding, and he was getting more and more nervous, grasping his sword firmly for reassurance. He shouted, and the space around him became golden, but Lin Feng's god strength absorbed them right away. At the same time, the dazzling gold shrine's leader had the impression time had stopped, his sword couldn't move forwards. You can't destroy me, shouted the shrine's leader. He turned golden, looking like an ancient statue. The ruler's godly imprints bombarded his body, and he trembled. The ruler's godly imprints contained a supreme strength, including fusions of original strengths at the maximum level. Lin Feng's ruler's godly imprints contained the strength of the 10,000 things of creation. The golden body crackled with almost musical notes as it began to break. The dazzling gold shrine's leader shouted desperately, no. His body exploded into 1,000,000 pieces. The river of imprints swept him away and he vanished. A shrine's leader had just died. People on the ground were astonished, their hearts pounding. Their leader was dead. What kind of attack was that? It was so explosive. He can now kill shrine's leaders, cultivators who stand at the top of the continent of the 9 clouds, cried the members of the dazzling gold shrine. They realized it was their judgment day. Lin Feng took the sky-destroying sword. He glanced around and continued walking forwards. He released ruler's godly imprints into the area around him. A peerless cultivator didn't have time to escape, and exploded. The peerless cultivator of the World Clan facing him was astonished, staring at Lin Feng and remaining motionless. Lin Feng's strength was too incredible. Lin Feng's attack was supreme. It was already more powerful than a peerless saint's attack. Go and clear up the mess, murmured Lin Feng. The World Clan and the Divine Wrath Shrine had joined hands to destroy the Dazzling Gold Shrine, and the Dazzling Gold Shrine's leader was dead. In a short time, the Dazzling Gold Shrine was wiped off the maps of the continent of the 9 clouds. The king of the 10,000 beasts landed next to Lin Feng and said, I've always known you'd become that strong. I am not going to destroy the teleportation portals, then. We can use them and continue. Don't worry. Pick everything up, said Lin Feng calmly. The king of the 10,000 beasts nodded. He knew that after that battle, Lin Feng would become a legendary cultivator of the continent of the 9 clouds. Father. Zhetian's silhouette flickered and he arrived next to Lin Feng, looking pleasantly surprised. His father was so strong. Let's go, said Lin Feng. They left the dazzling gold shrine which had been completely razed to the ground. That was one less legendary shrine in the continent of the 9 clouds. The battle at the dazzling gold shrine amazed the entire continent of the 9 clouds. It became a symbol, a sign that a nightmare had started for the shrines. The forbidden body had shown up, and everything in the continent changed. Lin Feng quickly became a legend in the continent of the 9 clouds. People started considering him as a god. Nobody had thought that someone could become so strong, so quickly. He had made a great show of his talents, he was the forbidden person. Nobody could compete with him. Chapter 2490, Decisive Battle. The Fire Shrine's alliance was shaken. The Wind Shrine had been destroyed, now the dazzling Gold Shrine had been destroyed. The Divine Wrath Shrine had risen and their leader was considered a god by many. He could kill shrines' leaders who had ultimate weapons. The 7 Shrines Alliance members who remained were panic-stricken, scared their judgment day had come. The 5 Shrines leaders gathered in the Fire Shrine, they didn't know what to think. What should we do now? Asked the Thunder Shrine's leader after a long time. He was an incredible cultivator, but at that moment, he looked scared and dispirited. Were they going to be destroyed as well? I invited the strongest cultivators of the Rock clan to gather here. Let's wait for them to arrive, said the Fire Shrine's leader calmly. We should give up and escape. How could I give up my shrine? We're extremely powerful, said the Demon Shrine's leader icily. I want to fight. We're 5 shrines, we still have 5 ultimate weapons. With the members of the Rock clan, we are definitely stronger, said the Ice and Snow Shrine's leader. The eyes of the Empty Space Shrines and the Thunder Shrine's leaders glittered. They had to come up with a decision, but in any case, they had already reached a point of no return. According to rumors, Lin Feng has already become stronger than Peerless Saints. How could we win against him? Said the Thunder Shrine's leader. He has completely transcended worldliness and become a god, said the Fire Shrine's leader looking at him. You think that if a god wants to kill you, you can just escape and hide? Besides, do you really believe he could have become a god? Impossible. He's just a strong Peerless Saint because he fused lots of special original strengths together, and then he created some powerful attacks. As long as he's a Peerless Saint, we can kill him. The thing is that he can almost make time stop, we just have to be very careful. The problem is when he manages to use that technique on us, he can easily attack us while we're powerless, we just have to be careful and we won't end up like the dazzling Gold Shrine's leader. Everybody nodded. They had to fight. The news that the Fire Shrine's Alliance wanted to have a final battle against the Divine Wrath Shrine and the Fortune Shrine's Alliance quickly spread throughout the continent of the 9 clouds. Everybody in the continent of the 9 clouds was watching the Fire Shrine. The final battle of the continent of the 9 clouds, who would finish at the top? Of course, the Fortune Shrine's Alliance and the Divine Wrath Shrine heard about it, too. Lin Feng was in the former territory of the Fortune Shrine. There were many strong cultivators in a palace there. When Lin Feng arrived, he saw the Fortune Shrine's leader and the others, their fortune robes were fluttering in the wind. The Fortune Shrine's leader and the diviner glanced at one another. Something unusual was going on, everybody could feel it. Lin Feng frowned and slowly walked forwards. What's the matter, teacher? Nothing. Lin Feng, don't get involved. I have a bad premonition. My visions are ominous, said the diviner. The Fortune Shrine's leader looked nervous. He looked glum and said icily, move back. The diviner looked at the leader and said indifferently, Leader, please revoke your order. Insolent, shouted the Fortune Shrine's leader icily. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He jumped forwards, the diviner groaned with pain and took steps backwards. Lin Feng was startled and asked, Teacher, what happened? Lin Feng, stay away from the Fortune Shrine, said the diviner, smiling at Lin Feng. Someone looked at him icily. I would love to know how well you hid your real strength, said the Fortune Shrine's leader. He jumped forwards and threw his hand at the diviner. "Stop!" shouted Lin Feng icily, his facial expression changing darkly. "Time, stand still." Time stopped. Lin Feng moved towards the diviner at the speed of light, landing next to him and threw his hand at the leader's hand which was moving towards the diviner. Time became normal again. People were stunned. How could there be an internal conflict at the time of a decisive battle? "Good boy, Maradeva." "Mandate of heaven, die," shouted the Fortune Shrine's leader icily. Destiny strength surrounded the diviner, and he screamed, he couldn't compete with the Fortune Shrine's leader. "I am not afraid of death. That being the case, I hope that you can go against the principles of heaven, leader," said the diviner. His silhouette became illusory, he could die at any second. Lin Feng was furious. He stopped time again and moved like the wind. He released Ruler's godly imprints, which turned into sharp swords and shot towards the Fortune Shrine's leader. Time had thoroughly stopped at that moment. Lin Feng took out a sharp sword which shot towards the Fortune Shrine's leader. The Fortune Shrine's leader was looking at Lin Feng calmly, he didn't resist. "Lin Feng," shouted voices furiously. Lin Feng's hand struck the Fortune Shrine's leader's shoulder, which burst apart, blood going everywhere. However, the leader was still staring at Lin Feng. "If you kill me, then it's the will of heaven, and I won't be mad at you," said the Fortune Shrine's leader calmly. Lin Feng shouted furiously, "What is going on?" "Take it," said the Fortune Shrine's leader, smiling at Lin Feng. He gave Lin Feng something and said, "Everybody, I am not going to join the decisive battle. From now on, the members of the Fortune Shrine can listen to Lin Feng. Respect Lin Feng like you respect me. I also hope that the Earth Shrine and the Celestial Sound Shrine can join hands with the Divine Wrath Shrine, and that you will be able to destroy the Fire Shrine." Lin Feng remained silent. He took what the leader had given to him and turned around, looking at the diviner. "Don't go," said the diviner, shaking his head. "I don't want anything to happen to you, teacher," said Lin Feng. He rose up in the air and ordered, "Let's go." Everybody followed him, including the members of the Fortune Shrine. They all flew towards the Fire Shrine. People in Fortune City looked at the cultivators in the sky and shivered. Was it time for the decisive battle? The Fire Shrine's strong cultivators had already gathered in a battle formation, waiting for them. A strong wind started blowing, and the atmosphere became oppressive. Every cultivator who wasn't involved fled. It was far too dangerous there. "Die," said Lin Feng. The strong cultivators behind him didn't dare move too fast. If one person was too far out in the front, they could get surrounded easily. "Great Celestial Seal," said someone. The earth and sky seemed to freeze. Everybody found it difficult to move. It was the power of an ultimate weapon. "Time, stand still," said Lin Feng. All the attacks stopped moving. The old ox and Lin Feng destroyed the attacks which had stopped in the sky. Time became normal again. Zi Zhu said, "Time, freeze." The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine's alliance had started moving again, but now they stopped again. Lin Feng looked at a Peerless saint aggressively, like an angry god. That figure turned into a beam of light, the ruler's godly imprints made space tremble and surrounded that cultivator. When the crowd saw Lin Feng's attack, they were astonished, he looked like an almighty god. Everybody was shaking violently, they didn't dare get too close to him. "Thunder Shrine leader, attack him with your hammer," said the Fire Shrine leader. The Thunder Shrine leader was surrounded by celestial lightning, a terrifying lightning strength thundered around him. "Empty Space Shrine leader, let's join hands," said the Ice and Snow Shrine leader. They both flew towards a Peerless saint of the Divine Wrath Shrine. "Empty space, freeze." "Great Celestial Seal," shouted the two cultivators. Then they stopped, the Empty Space Shrine's leader disappeared and reappeared in front of someone. He threw his fist at him, and the space broke around him. A cultivator also released an ice and frost attack. The Ice and Frost Shrine's leader had also used his terrifying ultimate weapon and killed a strong cultivator. When the leaders of two shrines joined hands, their power was explosive. Earth Shrine Leader, fight against the Thunder Shrine Leader. Celestial Sound Shrine Leader, fight against the Fire Shrine Leader. Saintly Emperor Shi the Demon, fight against the Demon Shrine Leader. Zizhu and Brother Ox, follow me, said Lin Feng, moving towards the Ice and Frost Shrine and the Empty Space Shrine leaders. Zizhu and the Old Ox followed him. They were both incredible warriors. With Lin Feng, they could probably destroy their enemies easily. At that moment, whistles from extreme speed could be heard. In the distance, a group of gigantic rocks appeared. The leader of the group was the Rock King. We knew you'd come. World lights flashed in the sky. A group of godly dragons appeared, King Dragon leading them. King Rock, you thought you were using them and in the end they used you, how ridiculous, said King Dragon mockingly. The Rock King's eyes looked sharp at the humiliation. He was the fastest creature in the continent of the 9 clouds, nobody dared make fun of him. Who would dare fight against him alone? Chapter 2491, Acknowledge Allegiance. People on the ground saw the members of the Rock Clan and the Dragon Clan fighting. The two great animal clans were also participating in this battle. The fate of the continent of the 9 clouds was at stake. Lin Feng, Zizhu, and the Old Ox continued flying towards the Empty Space Shrine Leader and the Ice and Frost Shrine Leader. Those 5 cultivators already held the lives of countless powerful cultivators in their hands. They were dangerous. The Empty Space Shrine and the Ice and Snow Shrine leaders watched their 3 enemies. They couldn't help but withdraw in fear. Curse, said Lin Feng. Cursing strength appeared in front of him, and he also created a few clones. His cursing strength turned into a river, corroding the enemy's luck and life. Combining cursing strength with water made it flow with even more power. Everybody around felt sick. Empty Space Shrine Leader, don't you have 2 ultimate weapons? Take them out, said the Ice and Snow Shrine Leader. The celestial ceiling map is broken. I can't fix it, and I didn't manage to modify the other one, so I can't use it properly, said the Empty Space Shrine Leader, annoyed. Time strength appeared around them as the Old Ox attacked. Zizhu, called Lin Feng. Zizhu understood, and time froze. Lin Feng and the Old Ox attacked at the same time. Great Celestial Seal, shouted the Ice and Snow Shrine Leader coldly. His ultimate weapon floated out in front of him. Break, shouted Lin Feng, releasing his ruler's godly imprints, which seemed like they could break anything. The Great Celestial Seal undulated and crackled under Lin Feng's overlapping attacks. At the same time, he continued moving forward, looking like an ancient god. Who could compete with him? The Empty Space Shrine Leader was frightened, and released empty space strength to surround himself. He was trying to penetrate into another space. Time, stand still, said Lin Feng. Everything stopped moving around him. Lin Feng charged at the Empty Space Shrine Leader. He landed in front of the man and released his ruler's godly imprints again. The Empty Space Shrine Leader's face turned deathly pale. Time became normal again, and he immediately released empty space, trying to isolate himself from the outside world. The ruler's godly imprints smashed into the space around Lin Feng with brutal explosions, space trembled and the sky seemed about to collapse. The empty space was shattered. The Empty Space Shrine Leader looked terrified, he couldn't escape. Time condensation. Zizhu attacked the Empty Space Shrine Leader as well, which slowed the latter down. At the same time, the Old Ox and Lin Feng accelerated as Lin Feng released fast strength. At this moment, Lin Feng was much faster than the Empty Space Shrine Leader. Destroy. Lin Feng continued attacking the empty space shrine leader with imprints. The empty space shrine leader tried to isolate himself in another space again. However, his empty space strength broke apart instantly. He was at a dead end, and had nowhere to escape to. The Peerless God strength surrounded him, his body exploded into a billion pieces, and he vanished. He was dead. The hearts of those watching pounded violently in astonishment. Lin Feng's strength had become extreme. Nobody could fight against him alone anymore. With the help of Zizhu and the old ox, it was even more incredible, the trio looked like killing gods. Nobody could stop them. What should we do? The Thunder Shrine leader cried out while attacking, the Earth Shrine leader blocking him. Another shrine leader had died. How tragic. He turned around and saw the Fire Shrine leader and the Demon Shrine leader. They didn't want to fight anymore, they knew they could die anytime. Their enemies were too strong. What he saw made him speechless. The strong cultivators who had charged forth under a hail of attacks were all members of the Empty Space Shrine and the Thunder Shrine. The three other shrines were trying to escape. They didn't fight. Back, shouted the Thunder Shrine leader furiously. He realized that apart from him, only two Peerless Saints were left among the strong cultivators of the Thunder Shrine. Ha! How awesome, shouted the Earth Shrine leader happily. They could finally compete with their enemies. Back. It's a battle to the death. The leader of the continent of the 9 clouds will be determined at the end of this battle, said the Fire Shrine leader coldly. The Thunder Shrine leader was furious and shouted, Qiong, what is that supposed to mean? After this battle, we'll know who the new leader of the continent of the 9 clouds is, stated the Fire Shrine leader coldly. Those watching were appalled, he was clearly in a position of weakness and he dared act that arrogantly. During the battle in the ancient past, a god died. Now it's different, a god is going to rise. A forbidden person is rising, but just who is going to become a god, shouted the Fire Shrine leader. His voice reverberated far, far away. The Fire Shrine leader was extraordinarily old, a very ancient shrine leader, just like the Fortune Shrine leader. They were both incredibly strong. But Lin Feng, a forbidden person, was rising at the speed of light. Why was the Fire Shrine leader still so confident and arrogant? At that moment, the crowd's attention turned to the Ice and Snow Shrine leader, who had arrived next to him. Are you ready? Asked the Fire Shrine leader. I've been practicing the godly skills for such a long time, all for today, right? I will do my best to stand at the very top of the continent of the 9 clouds, said the Ice and Snow Shrine calmly. We've been patient for so many years. Since we weren't talented enough to become gods, we have to rely on our own strength to make things change in this world. From now on, you and I will become the gods of this world, shouted the Fire Shrine leader. His hand streaked across the sky, and his flames started burning. Manifold flames dazzled and sparkled around him, a magnificent sight. His chi was as hot as the sun. He was fire itself. The Ice and Snow Shrine leader did the same thing, his hand streaked across the sky. His body turned into ice, becoming almost invisible. His body was extremely cold, cold enough to freeze time and space. Patterns appeared between them and condensed. They turned into 8 dazzling trigrams, yin and yang. Yin, yang, the crowd shook violently. The existence of the 10,000 things of creation was closely related to yin and yang. They were the source of all things. The earth and sky, the sun and the moon, coldness and heat, men and women, everything had a dual nature because of yin and yang. The Fire Shrine leader had studied Yang strength while the Ice and Snow Shrine leader had studied Yin strength, and now they were fusing their strengths together. Hurry up and stop them, shouted the old ox. His facial expression had changed drastically. Lin Feng was stupefied and shouted furiously, Time, stop. Lin Feng bombarded that area with a chronal attack. The 8 trigrams pattern flashed and defied his power. He could only grimace. It's useless. Everything exists because of yin and yang. Cultivators have to fuse 2 sorts of original strengths together to become peerless saints, probably due to the nature of life, to yin and yang. Life and death, fire and water, everything is yin and yang. We've both been practicing yin and yang strengths for countless years. We knew we couldn't become gods on our own, but we also knew that ancient gods had left yin and yang godly skills and techniques, so we decided to study yin and yang strengths together. Thanks to you, the forbidden person, we finally managed to master the technique. Now we can modify yin and yang strength, and from now on, we'll be the new gods of the continent of the 9 clouds, the fire shrine and ice and snow shrine leaders said in eerie unison. They sounded exactly the same, they had turned into one person. It was astonishing to see. Just for more strength, they had decided to learn a technique which defied the laws of the world. Those 2 shrines leaders didn't care about anything anymore, they were willing to do anything to become stronger. You 2 are good actors. You didn't want other people to understand your plans. I see, who would have thought that you were insane, said the Earth Shrine leader, pulling a long face. The 2 shrine leaders glanced at each other and smiled. We chose to walk the path of cultivation, and the most important thing for a cultivator is to become the strongest one in the world. The forbidden body appeared in the world, which means that a god is missing. If he dies, I'll become a god. The 2 shrine leaders were fusing together. An incredible strength surrounded them and began to expand. Yin and yang were fusing together in their new body, a perfect fusion. The fire shrine and the ice and snow shrine cultivators were totally dumbfounded. They had no idea such a thing would happen. A strange light appeared in the sky, a river of yin and yang strengths appeared. Qi transformed and penetrated into their bodies, and they joined together. The fusion of the 2 cultivators opened his eyes. There was a new body, a new qi. That new cultivator didn't look as aggressive as the shrine leaders. He looked every bit as incredible as Lin Feng, like a king and a god. From now on, I'm a supreme cultivator, I'm Ice Fire. I'm the supreme cultivator of the continent of the 9 clouds, said the man, smiling proudly. I'll spare the lives of those who obey my orders, said Ice Fire regally. He wanted everybody to acknowledge allegiance to him. He would forget and not bear recriminations against those who submitted, no matter whether they were their enemies in the past or not. Everybody remained silent. Icefire smiled. People still didn't seem to understand, it seemed. Icefire looked at someone and flashed away. Die. Icefire pointed at the Peerless Saint, and suddenly yin and yang qi turned into an incredible dragon. The man's face turned deathly pale. The yin and yang dragon absorbed him, and he immediately perished. A Peerless Saint had just died in the blink of an eye. As the cultivator disappeared, Icefire glanced around with his godly awareness. He looked like a conquering hero, wanting the whole world to serve him as his subjects. Greetings, Supreme Cultivator, cried out the members of the Fire Shrine and the Ice and Snow Shrine as they submitted. Their leaders had fused together, so they could accept him as a new leader without qualms. Greetings, Supreme Cultivator. After that, the members of the Empty Space Shrine acknowledged allegiance to him. Greetings, Supreme Cultivator. The Thunder Shrine cultivators also bowed. Icefire turned his eyes on the Thunder Shrine leader, whose face stiffened. The yin and yang qi made him lower his head, and he said, Greetings, Supreme Cultivator Icefire. Chapter 2492, Listen to my orders, huh, good, laughed Icefire, glancing at the crowd and cackling gleefully. He said to the crowd, From now on, everybody must obey me. I am the new king of the continent of the 9 clouds. Only one system will exist now in the continent of the 9 clouds. How ambitious. He wants one system in the continent of the 9 clouds. He wants all the shrines to submit and become his subjects. He wants to be the only ruler of the continent of the 9 clouds. Thought the Thunder Shrine leader. The 2 leaders had made great efforts for such a long time, all for this moment. The members of the Fire Shrine Alliance didn't dare go against the will of Icefire. Now, he wanted to make the members of the Fortune Shrine Alliance submit too. Icefire slowly turned to Lin Feng and the others, and said coldly. Apart from Lin Feng and the members of the Fortune Shrine, you others can submit and I won't kill you. He was definitely going to kill Lin Feng, who had a forbidden body, as a god couldn't let Lin Feng live. The Fire Shrine leader was one of the oldest shrine's leaders. He had heard about the battle of the ancient past, and before the god of the Fortune Shrine had died, he had left a prophecy. If someone with a forbidden body appeared someday, they'd have the potential to become a god, so no shrine would let him live. However, what if the forbidden person died? Then who would become the god? Lin Feng, Yin and Yang are the source of the 5 elements. The power of Yin and Yang Qi is almighty. He's already stronger than a peerless saint. We must think of a solution to escape, the old ox said to Lin Feng telepathically. Lin Feng's heart twitched but he said calmly. If anyone wants to surrender and pay allegiance to him, I won't blame them. Bullshit. That thing is not even a human anymore. I would never surrender and pay allegiance to him. I prefer battling to death, said the Earth Shrine leader coldly. Icefire smiled sinisterly and said. Wait for your destruction then. Icefire, spoke up Zizhu suddenly. Icefire glanced at him. The world is not as simple as you think. Do you think you have no enemies anymore just because you understand Yin and Yang Qi? Do you think you can do anything? Said Zizhu calmly. Icefire glared at him and replied, I'd love to see who can compete with me. If I lose this battle, no matter what you guys do, I won't blame you. And if you don't want to serve him as his subject, then leave while I'm fighting, said Lin Feng. He rose up in the air and retreated as fast as he could, disappearing and reappearing far away in the horizon. Where are you going? Asked Icefire, smiling coldly. He wanted to kill Lin Feng, how could he let him escape? The crowd quickly realized Lin Feng was trying to buy time to protect the others. Let's go, shouted Zizhu. They left. Nobody dared stop them. After all, if Icefire wasn't there, Lin Feng's team would have been stronger. Lin Feng and Icefire suddenly appeared high up in the sky. Lin Feng said coldly. Time, stand still. Time stopped, and he threw himself at Icefire. However, his enemies Yin and Yang Qi surged, modifying space around him. All sorts of strengths were inside his energies. Die, shouted Lin Feng furiously. An incredible amount of cursing Qi turned into a river and flowed out. At the same time, his god Qi turned into dazzling ruler's godly imprints, descending from the sky and oppressing everything. Icefire smiled coldly. His Qi was also a noble king Qi. He acknowledged that the forbidden strength was incredible. No wonder peerless saints couldn't withstand a single attack. The forbidden person was truly incredibly strong. However, he had practiced Yin and Yang Qi, and he was stronger than peerless saints as well. His Yin and Yang Qi attack collided with Lin Feng's ruler's godly imprints. The Yin and Yang Qi exploded, turning into 2 threads of energies moving left and right. They morphed into dragon heads containing millions of different kinds of strengths. The ruler's godly imprints gradually broke apart, and the Yin and Yang Qi continued moving forwards. Slow, said Lin Feng. He retreated quickly, grimacing. You've become so strong, that's quite rare. However, you will die today, it's your destiny, declared Icefire arrogantly. Ice energy froze the space around them, He used the great celestial seal and fused it together with yin and yang qi. Ice fire flickered, he moved as fast as lightning and charged at Lin Feng. A strange kind of strength emerged around his body. After that, Ice Fire had the impression he was being taken to another world, a misty world. Ice Fire didn't understand. Splendid. The forbidden body has a world. I really want to absorb you and turn my body into a forbidden body. Ice Fire had practiced for so many years, both leaders had practiced that set of skills for countless centuries. They had gone through so many hardships. Lin Feng had been talented since birth. He was jealous, and he wanted to kill Lin Feng. Die. An incredible amount of cursing strength turned into an earth-shattering ocean, roaring as it hurtled towards Ice Fire. Lin Feng was even stronger in his own world. Yin and Yang Qi are the most original source of energies in the world, even in your world, shouted Ice Fire furiously. He gazed at the incoming ocean, and ice and fire dragons emerged from his body. At the same time, he continued moving toward Lin Feng and threw his fist at him. Lin Feng released Ruler's godly imprints to collide with him. However, Ice Fire suddenly turned around and threw his fist out behind him. There was a tremendous rumble, and the whole world around them shook, on the verge of collapse. Many of the people living there sensed something abnormal was happening. Lin Feng, your illusion technique is powerful, but with my current strength, you can't do much against me. I understand now because when our fists collided a moment before, your real body turned into an empty space illusion, you probably fused illusion and empty space original strengths together to create that attack. When people are fighting against you, they don't notice it because they're never prepared well enough against such a fusion of attacks, said Ice Fire. One of his eyes was filled with yang energy and the other one with yin energy. They could absorb all sorts of strength. You're strong here, but today, I will destroy your world, shouted Ice Fire, spitting out the strength of the earth and sky. An incredible amount of energies struck the fabric of the world with soul-quaking thunder. Lin Feng was furious, releasing time strength to move faster. At the same time, he also released time strength to slow down his enemy. His god's sword appeared in his left hand as he moved as fast as lightning. He looked like a fearless god, not caring about anything anymore, this battle was too important. His body started to burn with power. Lin Feng released a peerless strength, the true power of a forbidden person. Icefire's yin and yang qi swirled into a celestial curtain which could destroy anything. Both cultivators' attacks collided, and at that moment, Lin Feng disappeared. The whole world shook violently. Many people raised their heads and looked at the sky, not understanding what was going on. Were gods fighting? A hole appeared in the sky, and Lin Feng coughed up blood. Each time the world shook, his body shuddered. He was injured. However, he continued fighting this crazy battle. Icefire could see Lin Feng's images everywhere in the sky. He was shocked, as his own robe had blood stains on it now. His heart shook, realizing Lin Feng had gone berserk, and was terrifyingly strong. Lin Feng released cursing strength to corrode away Icefire's life. Icefire wasn't badly injured yet, but Lin Feng was going insane, so he had to use his full strength. He had to create the best yin and yang attack he could to protect himself. That time strength was still influencing his speed, otherwise, Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to pose a threat to him. On top of that, in this world, Lin Feng's strength was multiplied. Die, 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 shouted a voice. The whole world shuddered. People in the palace of Shuiyu were nervous as they looked at the sky. There was only one possibility. Lin Feng, the god of the world, was fighting against someone, and his enemy was extremely strong. Thunder crashed, and qi descended from the sky. The ground was shaking non-stop, and many buildings came crashing down. Finally, some people heard someone shout, "Piss off," and the world began to calm down. In the outside world, Icefire had been driven out of Lin Feng's world, and Lin Feng had disappeared. He grunted angrily, his face pale. He looked at his chest, where there was a huge wound with blood dripping down, death and cursing strength infecting it. It was incredible, the strength of the forbidden body was still corroding him. He pulled a long face and looked around coldly. Lin Feng, you're insane. Your injury is worse than mine. We'll see how long you can hold on. My yin and yang qi is corroding your world and your body. You'll die sooner or later. Obey me, surrender and pay allegiance to me. Everybody, search the continent of the 9 clouds and look for Lin Feng's traces, shouted Icefire angrily. The members of the Fire Shrine were shaking. Icefire hadn't managed to kill Lin Feng, and he had managed to escape. How strong! However, Icefire had still defeated him, and forced Lin Feng to flee. Chapter 2493, The new situation of the continent of the 9 clouds. Icefire had appeared in the world, defeated Lin Feng, and all the shrines had acknowledged allegiance to him. It shook the entire continent. Lin Feng and his allies had lost the decisive battle, Icefire had won. The Fire Shrine and Ice and Snow Shrine leaders had fused together after studying Yin and Yang. The very next day, Icefire proclaimed himself king of the continent of the 9 clouds. Even the supreme animal world was afraid. The Rock Clan and the Dragon Clan had also participated in the decisive battle. If Lin Feng hadn't fought against Icefire, many people wouldn't have been able to escape, and would have died. However, Icefire still terrified most people in the continent of the 9 clouds. The news that the Fortune Shrine had disappeared spread everywhere in the continent. They were now in hiding. Everybody understood that they had no choice. With the insane supreme cultivator Icefire in the world, people couldn't do anything, since the Fortune Shrine wasn't willing to submit. On the 5th day, the Earth Shrine and the Celestial Sound Shrine leaders went to the Fire Shrine to acknowledge allegiance to Icefire. On the 6th day, the news that Icefire had taken back control of the Fire Shrine spread in the continent of the 9 clouds. He wanted to make the Fire Shrine the strongest shrine in the world. On the 7th day, the influential groups of the continent of the 9 clouds chased the World Clan's members and captured a Peerless Saint, joining hands and killing him. However, everybody knew that Icefire wanted to kill Lin Feng above all else, and he gave everybody the order to capture people who were related to Lin Feng to force him out. He was ready to do anything, regardless of the price. At the same time, people were fighting everywhere in the continent of the 9 clouds. The shrines had ceased to exist except in name, but their members continued fighting. The influential groups also started fighting to conquer territories and become stronger. Icefire didn't care about such minor events, he just wanted to be the strongest cultivator in the world. Nobody dared attack his people. People didn't know about the battles in the ancient past, but they knew about the battle which had propelled Icefire to the rank of strongest cultivator in the continent of the 9 clouds, the king of the continent of the 9 clouds. Icefire was wildly ambitious. He also wanted the Buddha Shrine, the Demon Shrine, and the Life Shrine to submit and pay allegiance to him. They couldn't go against his will. He created the Supreme Shrine and built a Supreme Shrine Palace. He organized a ceremony on a flight of stairs with 1,000 steps. He stood at the very top and looked down at the crowd and the shrine leaders among them. I am not the king of the continent of the 9 clouds. That's the destiny of the continent. I will become a real god, shouted Icefire grandly. He was in a good mood. People shouted back, congratulations, Supreme Cultivator Icefire. No need to be polite, said Icefire, waving his hands and smiling. He frowned suddenly and shouted furiously, why isn't the Demon Shrine leader here? People frowned. The Demon Shrine leader wasn't there. Icefire was at the apex of his power, nobody could resist him. Someone slowly flew up in the air. He was wearing a demon robe. He looked at Icefire and said slowly, "Today, the demon shrine leader officially paid respects to his master. At the same time, he invites everybody to come and congratulate him. Everybody is here, so everybody can go. Supreme Cultivator Icefire, you can also go if you wish." "Insolent," shouted someone furiously. However, that person's expression didn't change. Icefire frowned. "I think the demon shrine leader's behavior is strange. Whom could he acknowledge allegiance to, apart from me? I'm curious to see who can still compete with me in the continent of the 9 clouds. Bring those people here first," said Icefire coldly. 2 people were brought over. Those people were from the Divine Wrath Shrine, one of them was Zizhu. "Today, I'll kill you first, and then I'll go to the demon shrine personally," said Icefire glancing at Zizhu. Zizhu turned to Icefire, looking fearless. He said icily, "Will you dare kill me? Do you know who my teacher is?" When the crowd heard Zizhu, their faces changed, looking amused. Zizhu was a member of the Divine Wrath Shrine, formerly part of the 3 Great Alliances, and used to be the leader of the Black Bamboo Alliance. He had a teacher. How strong was his teacher? "Who?" asked Icefire, unimpressed. "Master Icefire, you really think you're the king of the continent of the 9 clouds? You're really funny," said Zizhu, equally unmoved. "These years, all the shrines ruled over the continent of the 9 clouds, but have you all forgotten about Sealed Imprint Mountain in the Lost Country?" "Feng Imo the Supreme Cultivator," the crowd murmured. Sealed Imprint Mountain had incredibly strong cultivators in the ancient past. Few people knew how strong that guy really was. "I'm Feng Mo's disciple, Zizhu. If we needed a king of the continent of the 9 clouds, my teacher would have come out already. You are far from being able to compete with him. The only thing is that he didn't really care. Now, however, it is imminent. My teacher made me come out because a god may have to be chosen. He might come out too. You keep chasing Lin Feng, you want to kill the forbidden body, but did you know teacher Feng Imo supports Lin Feng? He helped him become stronger. When he becomes strong enough, there will be the real decisive battle between them. You think you're qualified to compete with my teacher?" Zizhu challenged him calmly. The crowd shivered. How strong was Feng Imo? "I practiced the yin and yang godly transformation skill, how could your teacher compete with me?" Icefire rebuked him proudly. "My teacher can seal gods and demons. He controls the strength of the 10,000 things of creation. Nobody knows how many bodies my teacher has in the world. Do you really think all the strongest cultivators in the continent of the 9 clouds were the Peerless cultivators who participated? If I hadn't come out, who would have known about me?" Zizhu huffed. "Today, if I die, my teacher will destroy the Supreme Shrine." Icefire remained silent for a few seconds before answering. "I won't kill you, then. Since your teacher intends to show up in the world again, I'll wait for him. Send him back." Zizhu stayed alive, astonishing everyone. Nobody had thought that so many incredible things would happen. Lin Feng had risen, Icefire had appeared, the demon shrine leader had a new teacher, Feng Imo was going to come to the continent of the 9 clouds, the forbidden body had really attracted some incredible things. Icefire had become a conqueror too early. Nothing was decided. Icefire gazed into the distance. His eyes glittered, and he said detachedly, "I'm going to the demon shrine." He flew away and disappeared, faster than the crowd could see. The crowd didn't leave with him, but they all still wondered, what was going to happen in the demon shrine. The crowd waited for a long time. After several days, a lone figure descended from the sky, Icefire. He looked grim and detached as he smiled coldly. "Seems like I won't be lonely on the path to becoming a god." He rolled up his sleeves and promptly left again. Everyone understood that the demon shrine leader's teacher was someone who could compete with Icefire. After 7 days, the demon shrine organized a banquet and invited everybody. People didn't dare offend him, so off they went. They all felt pressured, especially the shrine leaders. Despite their positions, they now were under pressure and felt powerless. They could just manage to get by swallowing insults and humiliations. All this was one of the reasons why they didn't want the forbidden person to live. The forbidden person hadn't become powerful enough yet, but Icefire and the demon shrine leader were already competing. 1 month later, Wuxia from the sealed imprint mountain of the Lost Country landed in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. He went straight to the supreme shrine and took Zizhu away. The continent of the 9 clouds was shaken once again. Now there were 3 potential kings in the continent of the 9 clouds. At the same time, everybody was looking for Lin Feng, especially Icefire. He had to kill Lin Feng, the forbidden person. The demon shrine was also looking for Lin Feng. Wuxia also sent people to look for Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng had completely disappeared. There were 2 people standing at the top of a mountain. One of them asked, "Haven't you found him yet?" "I can't find him, he's completely disappeared." "Can you contact him using the jade talisman?" "It's useless," no reply. His friends are optimistic. The one who had just spoken continued moving. Icefire was at the top of a flight of stairs as he asked coldly. "Haven't you found him or his traces?" "Supreme Cultivator, there is nothing. Lin Feng is good at disguising himself. He can easily pretend he's someone else. Take your time. When we fought, I corroded his body with yin and yang qi, he probably can't recover easily. However, I won't feel assured until he dies," replied Icefire calmly. The man bowed and withdrew, walking backward. After a short time, the Life Shrine, which didn't get involved in worldly affairs, was destroyed because they had refused to submit. Their leader had been killed. Actually, many people felt extremely sad at this happening, to the extent that some people cried over their destruction. Time passed. Another century flowed by. At that moment, in a wild area of the continent of the 9 clouds, a figure was suddenly surrounded by reincarnation strength and absorbed quickly. A handsome man appeared. It was Ho Qin Lin, now a Peerless saint. People kept chasing him, one of which had just died. Icefire was pursuing him and all the former members of the Fortune Shrine. At that moment, Ho Qin Lin looked surprised. He took out a jade talisman and his eyes twinkled. He flew up in the air. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.